Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Legal Talk. My name is Costas and today we'll be talking about the N5. So what exactly is the N5? It's a legal form that you serve to your tenants who have violated the RTA or your agreement. There are three reasons to serve an N5. Reason number one, if your tenant is interfering with the reasonable enjoyment of other residents in the building. The second reason is your tenant has directly or indirectly caused any substantial damages to the unit. Number three is if your tenant has more occupants or guests than is allowed under your lease or local bylaws. Now that we've covered the basics, let's get down to the actual steps in serving the N5. Step one, you must clearly identify the reason for being served. The reasons are either interference, damage, or overcrowding. Step two, identify if this is the first time serving your tenant an N5 or the second. Step three, the N5 allows the tenant 7 days to comply. During this period, it is important to document any evidence pertaining to your tenant's compliance. Step number four, if your tenant has failed to comply with the 7 days allotted, you can file an L2 immediately with the Landlord and Tenant Board. Now, before we get into step five, I want to point out one main difference between the N5 and other N forms. If your tenant repeats the same issue after a 7-day period and within the last 6 months, you have to serve the tenant with a second N5. Most of the time, the N5 needs to be served twice, but unfortunately, you file with the board immediately upon the second N5, no wait required. Moving on to step five. When you serve your second N5 notice, you can immediately file an L2 with the board. Now, there is one common mistake people make that I think you should be aware of. People sometimes serve the second N5 under the same reason, but for a different issue than the original N5. You have to remember that your second N5 has to be addressing the same original issues and not something different. If there's any discrepancy in this, an adjudicator may dismiss your case. Now, before we go any further, let's set some realistic expectations. Taking your tenant to the tribunal for your first N5 rarely results in a successful eviction being granted, with the exception of those tenants who fail to attend the hearing. On the other hand, if you go to the trial for the same issue a second time, the chances of being awarded a standard order rise considerably. Now, after you obtain the standard order, you need to wait and hope your tenant moves out by the indicated time by the tribunal. If, however, they don't leave, you may take your order to the sheriff's office and request an eviction. If you want to know more information about using a sheriff for an eviction, check out other video links in the description below. All right, everybody, I hope this has helped you understand how to properly use an N5. If you've got any questions, contact us through the information link in the description below. Follow our socials and subscribe to our channel.